Hi everyone! Today we are going to take the scene we built in the last video and we're going to actually make a little bit of vegetation. I don't know how many videos we're going to spend on this, but today we're going to make some grass and then we will paint some of the grass onto the scene. And at the very end of the video we will update our little floating island here a little better because it doesn't look like it has a whole lot of character yet. But each video we're going to make it look a little better. So without further ado, let's start making ourselves some grass. So if we just come in and uh, get rid of all of our vertices, go to the top view, add a plane, we're going to shrink that on the x-axis, scale it down, and then let's bring it up just a little bit. And to make most of this grass today, we're going to use where you can press Control and left click, and we can kind of just come up and make our grass a little bit here. We'll just scale a couple of these down, make the sections a little more even, and then we'll just duplicate this probably about 7 times. About 3 times on each side of the one in the middle. What we're going to do is take the whole thing and we're going to extrude it a little to make a bit of a square out of them, and then we're going to come and add a subdivision surface modifier and bump that up by 3. And then if we go back to the top view, we probably just want to move the whole thing down just a little bit. Oh, I think I only had half of them. Oh, I still have all. There we go. So that way our grass is kind of a little below the middle here. And I think we can just scale them, make them a little wider on the x-axis, make our blades of grass a little wider. We can kind of, if we go into X-ray mode, we can grab the pieces below and kind of square some of them off. And I actually want some of these to kind of be a little bit closer. Just use L to grab things, and you can hold Shift to slow down how much you move them. The next thing we want to do is make sure we move all of these to our nice green color here for grass. And go to rendered mode. We want to take the camera and we want to zero all of those out and zero all of those out. Then we can move that up. Let's change our resolution to be 1024 by 1024 because we're going to actually make a texture out of this that we can use for the grass and other vegetation. So we are actually going to use this image for multiple pieces of our vegetation. So if we can fit, I don't know, between 5 and 10 different things on here, then the game engine can utilize the one texture for more of our game. It'll make it a little bit more performant. But yeah, so if we move that down to the corner there, I think that will work just fine. The next thing we want is to take our light and zero it out. We're going to want to come over here and change it to an area light. Let's zero out its angles as well. Let's lift it up and boost it up a little bit, and let's see what that looks like. That gives us a nice even coloring there. I like that. And now we need the background to actually be transparent. So what we need to do is come in here to the film item and click transparent. And then when we render, we get a very nice transparent background with our grass. And so we're going to, as we add more things to this in the future, we will just be adding more of our vegetation along here and re-rendering the image. So we'll want to leave our grass in the same spot so we don't mess stuff up. But now that we've rendered that image, let's actually save that as vegetation.png. That will work perfectly. And if we just rename this to backups, just in case we ever have to come re-render stuff, we can call this the grass backup. And now we're going to move on to make the actual grass object after pulling it out of the picture. So this is a high poly model. Actually, I don't think I made it shade smooth. Let's see if that changes our image at all. I think it did make it a little smoother. So let's actually save that over the top. And now we're going to actually hide that grass. We don't want it to show up in renders anymore either as we're going forward. So we can hide both of those. And now if we just come in and add ourselves a plane, we will want to set its material as a new material, and we will call this the vegetation image. And in here we actually want to select that vegetation image. And then down at the alpha, we actually want to change that to a, oh boy, we want to change that to an image texture as well. So that way we can set this as make the background transparent. So if we then change this blend mode to alpha clip, we can now see right through it, but all we're left with is our grass. So if we go back to the top view, all we have left to do is cut out our grass texture. So if we come in here and hit K, we should be able to cut out ourselves a nice grass texture here. Perfect. And now if we go to face select, we can select that and actually want to duplicate it and separate it out. Then if we come out and grab it and come in, we can start filling in some of these that didn't like that. Sometimes the ordering is important, and I haven't fully figured out why. Well, it's not going to like us this time. Let's try the bottom first. Oh, it's just really not liking that top. So when you get in this position, it won't actually keep your actual UV space. We actually have to come over and change over to our vegetation image, zoom out, and we're actually just going to have to grab this whole thing. Let's get rid of the big face, and then if we do a U smart UV project and grab the whole thing, and if we just scale it down, rotate by 180, we're almost there. And that will hold our whole image for us. We can probably scale it just a little bit more. And if we just do some small rotation here, we should be able to line it up. And there we go. Now we have our grass. It looks a little bright there, but We can save that as our grass. We can get rid of this plane here. And now one last thing before we move over to our game scene again is we want to make sure this is lined up in the middle. So let's just line it up with the grass going below just a little bit. Set our origin back to the 3D cursor in the middle there. And now if we just open our simple game scene, yeah, let's make sure we save our vegetation one last time. So from here, we actually want to import our new grass. I mean link, I don't know what I'm saying. And so we go to our vegetation, we want to grab the collection. And so in order to paint this grass on, we're going to use particles. And in order to do that the way we want to, is we want to select our big field here and go into weight paint mode. And we actually just kind of want to paint some of these places that aren't on our path here. You can press F to make it smaller or bigger. And we're just gonna paint a couple places here, not too many. And we will call that good. And that will be actually called a vertex group, and we will use that in the particle system here. So if we just create a new one, we want to make sure we click hair and see, you can see all of the places. Oh, I actually grabbed the water here. So we want to change that and grab the actual game scene area here and have that. If we grab the hair, you can see it's coming out of all of the places. We created that vertex group so we can use that to specify where we want this grass to be growing. And then if we come into render, currently it's rendering as a path, we want to render as a collection and then come down and grab our grass. You can see it's kind of small, so if we actually just scale it up a little, we should be able to then go into rendered mode here. And you can see we now have all of that grass showing up. So if we render our scene, you can see we have some of that grass showing up, and that will help soften up our scene a little bit. If you want more or fewer hair particles, you can change the number. You can also go change that vertex group to have the grass be painted in different areas. We don't want a whole lot of them right now because we're going to add some shrubs and some trees. And so we'll come back and alter the vertex groups to more specifically place our grass later. But that is it for grass. You can import these right into your game. You'll have to set up some of the alpha clip stuff over there depending on what engine you're using. And when we get done building our scene here, we'll actually be going through the whole import process. But for now, we're still building our scene. Next time, we'll be adding some shrubs, and I don't think we will be using the hair system to randomly place those. I think we will be placing those in more specific places because, well, they'll have more vertices, so we don't want to use too much processing power when we're running our game. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you have ideas on what we can add to this scene or anything I can improve on, because I'm learning more about Blender every week, please let me know down in the comments. And with that, you guys have a wonderful day.